It was a cold, quiet night in Istanbul, the kind of night where memories slip in like fog through an open window. In a small apartment, tucked away from the noise of the world, a woman sat alone at her desk. Her fingers trembled slightly as they hovered over a blank sheet of paper. Demet Özdemir, once the glowing light of every room she walked into, now found herself haunted by silence. Not the absence of sound, but the kind of silence that came from things unsaid, from words buried too deep. She lit a candle, more for comfort than light, and picked up her pen. "He'll never read this," she whispered to herself. "And maybe that's the only way I can be honest. Because some letters aren't meant to be sent. They're meant to heal." To the world, Can Yaman and Demet Özdemir were everything: chemistry, passion, magic. They danced between spotlights and camera flashes, making millions believe in love again. But behind the perfect photographs, behind the playful interviews and the adoring fans, was a story that no one truly knew. They had fallen in love quietly, almost accidentally. And just as quietly, they broke. "You never knew when I started falling for you," she wrote. "Honestly, I didn't either. It wasn't fireworks. It was slow, like a quiet tide. One day I woke up, and I realized, you were the first thing I thought about. Long before the headlines, long before the whispers of love, there was only a set. A camera. A script. And two strangers playing roles they didn't yet realize would mirror their lives." The first time Demet met Can, he was late. Not intentionally, he was just caught in traffic, flustered, rushing in with apologies. She remembered his breathless smile, his messy hair, the way he tried to act cool while clearly panicking about making a bad impression. She laughed. He noticed. "Hi," he had said, extending his hand. "Can." "Demet," she smiled, shaking it. "I know." From that moment, there was something unspoken, an energy, a pull. The kind of thing you can't script. At first, it was innocent. A shared joke between takes. A stolen glance in a crowded room. But the more they rehearsed, the more they forgot where the scene ended and where they began. By the time their series began to air, they were no longer pretending. Their fans called it chemistry. But Demet called it chaos. Because real love doesn't arrive with roses and sunsets. It arrives with confusion. With fear. With that terrifying question, what if this is real, and I ruin it? Still, they couldn't stay away from each other. Their friends noticed. Their crew whispered. And every time they denied the rumors in interviews, they were lying to everyone, including themselves. There was a night, just one, that still haunted Demet more than any other. It was late. They had wrapped filming at 2 a.m. She was exhausted, quiet, and a little cold. Can offered to drive her home. "You're too tired," she said. "Then let me just sit with you until you fall asleep," he replied. And he did. They didn't kiss. They didn't speak much. He just held her hand, until she drifted off. "That night, you didn't even kiss me. You didn't try anything. You just sat there like you belonged beside me. And it scared me, Can. Because I started to believe you really did. But fame is a heavy curtain. What started as magic slowly turned into pressure. Expectations. Paparazzi. Fans watching every move. The more they tried to protect what they had, the more it slipped through their fingers. Ken was ambitious, driven, restless. Demet was emotional, grounded, needing time. He wanted the world. She just wanted a little peace. They started to argue, not loudly, but constantly. Silences became longer. Texts went unanswered. And worse, they both pretended nothing was wrong. We stopped fighting. And somehow, that was worse. At least when we argued, it meant we still cared. It wasn't dramatic. No screaming. No slamming doors. No final kiss. They met for dinner, like normal. She smiled. He smiled back. But something in his eyes was distant. "You okay?" she asked. "Yeah," he lied. They talked about work. About next projects. About everything except the one thing that mattered, them. At the end of the night, he walked her to her car. He hugged her. And let go too quickly. And that was it. He never called again. She never reached out. And yet, neither truly said goodbye. That night, when I got home, I sat at my kitchen table for hours. I wanted to scream. To call you. To ask why. But instead, I picked up a pen. And I wrote. That night, Demet wrote with no intention of sending. There was no address. No envelope. Just truth bleeding onto paper. She wrote until the candle burned low and the city fell asleep around her. Can. I don't know how to do this anymore. I smile at cameras and laugh in interviews. But none of it feels real since you left. I watched the interviews you did afterward. How calm you looked. I wondered if you had already forgotten me, or if you were just better at pretending. You once told me that I made you feel seen. But then why did you start turning away? I still have your sweatshirt. The gray one. It doesn't smell like you anymore, but I can't bring myself to throw it away. I thought we had time, Can. I thought you'd come back. And even if you don't, I want you to know this, I never stopped loving you. I never will. She folded the letter, slipped it into a drawer, and locked it away like she had locked away every what if. She moved on. At least, that's what she told the world. Months turned into years. Demet took new roles. Smiled for new photos. Laughed with co-stars who weren't him. And Can? He left for Europe. Italy. Spain. His career soared. New shows. New rumors. New women. But the silence between them remained untouched. They never called. Never texted. Never broke the invisible thread still tying them together. Until fate stepped in. It was a charity event in Bodrum. Summer evening. Glittering lights. Crowded terrace. Demet had almost cancelled last minute. But something made her go. She wore white. Elegant. Graceful. A version of herself she barely recognized. And then, she saw him. Standing across the room. Can. Time stopped. He hadn't changed much. Taller than she remembered. More serious. Still devastatingly familiar. Their eyes met. For a second, it was 2019 again. Just them. Just what they were. He smiled. She looked away. But the moment, that moment, was burned into them both. Neither approached the other that night. But someone else did. A mutual friend. A makeup artist from their old show. Chatting casually with Demet, flipping through her phone. You still have that letter, huh? She laughed, not realizing Ken was just steps away. Demet froze. Wait, what? Ken asked. There was silence. Then a name. The letter Demet wrote. Back when she couldn't say goodbye. His face changed. What letter? He asked again, more firmly this time. He followed her outside. Into the warm, silent air. You wrote me a letter? He asked. She hesitated. It was a long time ago, Can. But it was about us, wasn't it? She looked away. It doesn't matter anymore. It does to me. And for the first time in years, she let herself cry in front of him. Not because she was weak. But because she had held in too much for too long. That night, Demet went home. And for the first time since she wrote it, she opened the drawer. The paper was yellowed. The ink had bled slightly from old tears. But the words were still there. She didn't say anything. She didn't call him. She just, send it. Ken received it the next morning. He read it in his hotel room. Alone. No cameras. No interviews. Just silence. Every word shattered him. All the moments he had convinced himself were forgotten came rushing back. He didn't know how to reply. So he didn't. Instead, a few days later, he showed up at her door. No explanations. No speeches. Just him. And in his hand, a letter. It was blank. Except for one line. You said you never stopped loving me. I never did either. Some love stories aren't loud. They don't explode with drama or end with doors slammed shut. Some just linger. In letters. In memories. In looks across crowded rooms. They wait. And sometimes, they get a second chance.